Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ahankaram balam darpam Kamam krodham parigraham Vimuchya nirmama shantaha Brahma bhuyaya kalpate Brahma bhuta prasannatma Ashocati na kankshati Samas sarveshu bhuteshu Bhaktim labhate param Bhaktya mam abhijanati Yavan yaschasmi tattvataha Tato mam tattvato jnatva Vishate tadanantaram Sarvakarmanyapi sada Kurvano madvyapashraya Matprasadadavapnoti Shashvatam padamavyayam Cetasa sarvakarmani Mayi sanyasya matparaha Buddhi yogamupashritya Macchitta satatam bhava So, it's a peculiar mental purification is nothing but removing the impurities. It's a peculiar. The process of purification is only removing what is undesirable. What is it? You don't do anything, you only avoid something. It's a nivritti. Sometimes doing is easier than avoiding. And man also, he takes interest in doing than avoiding. It's a problem. Action interests him, but sometimes avoiding. See, avoiding, supposing you have the habit of drinking, avoid it. No. So right now I want to say something, somehow do something right by, and then in the process avoid the wrong. Use the action to absorb you so that the what is to be avoided gets away. It's like, supposing I need to avoid drinking, for example. Then I have to just get occupied with something interesting, positive. Something useful, something acceptable. So, mental purification is more of avoiding ahankara. Ahankara means vanity. Avoiding vanity means you treat others as the same as you. So All living beings are, in fact, they are the same in the sense they all want to be happy. That is the yardstick. We all want to be happy, Ji. We all want to be respected. So there is no disparity. Every living being wants to be respected and wants to be happy, including a cat, including a mosquito. So there is no disparity between one jiva, one living being and another living being. It's a very fundamental thinking, Ji. So if everybody wants to be happy and like me, then I don't have to treat other person as inferior to me, etc. Just to slowly avoid the sense of superiority, slowly avoid the sense of disparity. You see, in the social process there are disparities. People do it, but a student of truth need not be a victim of a beaten path of disparity. Supposing there is disparity practiced in the society, a student of truth need not be a victim of that trend. He can come out of it and then think better. I say there is no difference between one living being and another living. That really avoids the vanity. It's not easy to avoid vanity unless one thinks fundamentally. You see, we are all living beings are the same truth. I am not going that fundamental. I am only saying we all want to be equally happy. Bas, itna is enough. This is a very fundamental thought. Balam. Avoid balam means, ferocity, inner aggression. Because your aggression can bring you some material, you can intimidate others by aggression, but you can't use your aggression to make yourself peaceful. Aggression I can't use I can intimidate others, I can't even make them peaceful. I can use my aggression and make them speechless, but not peaceful. I can silence them. I can be aggressive. Chupra. So the person may become chup, but does he become peaceful? Neither I can use my aggression to make others peaceful, nor I can use my aggression to make. That means aggression can never produce shanti. Even in a household. Therefore, when you talk also nicely, talk without aggression. Aram se baat karna. Because when truth is peaceful, the path also must be peaceful. Avoid balam, darpam. Also avoid darpa, false pride. Darpo nama harshanantara bhavi dharma atikrama hetuhu. The sense of triumph, a false sense of triumph. I have broken the law, but nothing has happened to me. You understand, sense of. मेरे को क्या होगा? I can break the law, but nothing will happen to me. That is called dharma. मेरे को कुछ नहीं होगा जी. It's kind of a false sense of triumph. Who can do what to me? And this false sense, when a person has this kind of darpa, he will keep breaking the law. And one day the law will break him. Yes. When you break the law will, it is a question of time, Ji. It's a question of time. In fact, Bhagavan is kind, because law also, Bhagavan's kindness flows through his laws. Sometimes I break the law and the law doesn't immediately react. That is called his kindness. Haji. Bhagavan's kindness is like this. Truth also, he is very considerate to me. When I break the law, it will punish me in a mild manner, it doesn't break me down. But if I go on breaking the law, then the law will break me down. Yes. Ram ji ne Ravan ji ko kaha, abhi bhi, even now it is not too late, hand over Sita with respect, with honor, and there need not be a war. I mean, who can do like this, Ji? The glory of Ram was, you see, even now, even sitting at the battlefield, he says, even now it's not too late. You can avoid self-destruction. That's called Bhagavan's kindness. Sometimes we make a mistake, we get away with it. And again we make a mistake, we get away with it. Bhagavan says, ek baar, do baar, teen baar, there is a sampradaya. There is a parampara. एक बार ठीक है, दो बार ठीक है, तीन बार ठीक है, चौथा बार the law will break him down. Therefore, darpa is not good. Fear the law of karma. Fear means understand it will not fail. Be careful about the law of karma. Meaning what? Be aware of the law of karma. It will break us down. If you are too cruel to somebody, and the law can punish you in some way. The person to whom you are cruel may not punish you, but the law will punish you. The law will punish you. The person to whom I am cruel, he may be helpless, he cannot do anything. Similarly, the person to whom I help, he may not help me back, but the law will help me. Ultimately, the karma adhyaksha and karma phala data is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the one who gives me the sukham as well as dukkham. My karma. Therefore, the darpa forces me to break the law, and every time I say, मुझे कुछ नहीं होने वाला. But ultimately you will be caught. Because Bhagavan's compassion Bhagavan has got a long rope for every Rakshasa. He gives a long rope to every Rakshasa. You know, long rope? So that Rakshasa will hang himself one day. Yes. Calm, avoid darpa. Be humble, you will be peaceful. Simple Ji. Simple mantra for happiness. Be humble, that will guarantee mental peace. Calm. Don't entertain also desires and also lustful feelings. Don't entertain unnecessary desires. Unnecessary desires will disturb your mind. Because certain desires, it's so difficult to fulfill them. Sometimes they drain you out totally. You want to go and see the North Pole. It's all right, North Pole in God's creation. What do you get out of it? Except that in every party you can open up the topic of North Pole. I went there to North Pole, this, vagera. What is there? There are also 5 elements. 5 elements. जो यहाँ पर आए वही वहाँ पर आए. और क्या है? Except that you have to go through some cold, that's all. Don't entertain desires that will take your life out. You can travel, but let not the travel take your life out. Don't try to have such desires which will unnecessarily put you in such risks. As a student of truth, it is necessary to think of our being. Our being is much more attractive than the North Pole and South Pole put together. Yes. The seer is much more beautiful than all that you can see outside. The seer of the flower is much more beautiful than the flower. Even though it is a habit with us to say how beautiful is the flower, these are all Vyavahara, but really the one who is aware of them is glorious. Gee. That is why Bhagavan says, Bhagavan's Srishti is wonderful, but the one who sees it is much more wonderful. The furniture is wonderful, but the light that lights up the furniture is much more wonderful. Therefore, have desires, but don't have such desires which just break you down. It will rob your happiness. It will rob your peace. Don't have such desires. You don't have to go all the way to eat something which they call fish eggs. Fish eggs. And you can't even talk about it in every party. In a Marwadi party you can't talk. I went all the way to Russia to eat fish eggs. Don't talk about all that. What are all these? These are all silly desires. All tastes are the same. Dal, roti, whatever you eat, if it gives you good health, that's good enough. Okay, kamam, krodham. Similarly, krodham, anger. Avoid anger. In order to avoid anger, the best way is to think that my anger would hurt somebody. And hurting somebody is not good. Especially, we show our anger to the people around. You show your anger to the servants. You show your anger to your wife, your husband, your children. It will hurt, especially the people, the elderly people. If you show anger, they feel more hurt. Therefore, even when you show anger, it is all right. You can show eyes, but don't say anything that would hurt. The words hurt. The words. Control your language. When you are angry, control your language. Because it is only when one is angry, all kinds of language comes out. But then after sometimes you become peaceful, all right. Even if you say sorry, it's all right, but still it's not the same. That person will feel hurt. No sorry can make amends. ठीक है, externally it creates, sorry can mean a lot, but then inwardly it's not. You have already hurt. After hurting, even if you put a balm, still there will be pain, It will leave a scar. And there is no balm for scars. There is no balm for scars. Therefore, you can practice this thing. It is difficult not to be angry with people, especially with people who keep making mistakes all the time around, children. You can show anger, but your care should be to see that you don't use harsh language. Avoid harsh language. Slowly, when you can avoid harsh language during anger, slowly in time you can swallow your anger. Why not? Don't say loudly, whisper in yourself. Idiot. Stupid. And don't say it loudly. Just say it in your own whisper. Parigraham. Similarly, avoid accumulation. Because when you accumulate what you don't need, it's more a burden, I am telling you. It's more a burden. And when a person becomes old and he dies, he has to leave it for somebody else. He is not going to carry anything. But then Swamiji, throughout life it gives a sense of security. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Sense of security has to be felt through spiritual reflection. Because even if one has a lot of wealth, he would still grow old, is it not? Does money stop aging? If you have too much of money, then you won't age. Yes, Swamiji, then we age slowly because we go to France and then cover all those things. Kitni bhi karo ji. The others may think you are young, but you know you are not young. You are old. Everybody becomes old, ji. In life, this beaten trend of thinking is wrong. The life should be lived with reflection about your existence, your being. What the Shastra talks. Work for a living and live for understanding the truth. Work for a living. Therefore, parigraham also, too much of accumulation. Vimuchya, Bhagavan says, abandon it. Ahankaram vimuchya, balam vimuchya, darpam vimuchya, kamam vimuchya, krodham vimuchya, parigraham vimuchya. सबको छोड़ के avoid them. Nirmamaha. Then also understand there is nothing mine in this world. Everybody comes into this world, uses the world and then leaves the world. Mamatvam is also has a... in Vyavahara you own things but be convinced that nothing is yours. It creates humility. Nirmamatvam creates humility. Because even this body is not ours. Hamara Guruji used to say, hey, you can't, there are so many claimants on this body. He used to say, in his own inimitable style. Hamara Guruji nahi raha. Last week only he left the body. But then he used to say in an inimitable way. So, your wife has a claim on your body. Your children also have a claim. Your parents have a claim. And the eagles in the sky also have a claim. They are also waiting for you to fall. Therefore, even this body we cannot... Amoeba also, they are waiting for the body. There are so many claimants on this body. So we can't own this body. What to talk of other things? So, mamatvam is nothing but being convinced that it is one's. attaching your possessions as a part of you. Attaching. Thinking my possessions are a part of me. But the real truth is our possessions are not a part of our being. Our possessions are a part of creation. My money is a part of the world. My land is a part of the creation. My house is a part of creation. Even my body is a part of creation. Even my thoughts are a part of creation. Nothing is a part of myself, my being. My being cannot get mixed up with anything. Our being is pure and peaceful. Therefore, to be free from mamatvam means understanding that our possessions are not a part of our being. Nirmama, Shanta. As a result of this, one becomes peaceful. Avoiding ahankara, avoiding balam, avoiding darpa, kamam, krodham, parigraham, one becomes peaceful. Brahma bhuyaya, for understanding Brahman, kalpate, one becomes qualified. When you are peaceful, then your only fitness is for knowing the truth. Amazing, Ji. When you work, it brings you wealth. When you are peaceful, it enables you to know the truth. Mental peace is not an end in itself. It is a facilitator of understanding the truth. Relative peace helps you to discover the absolute peace, which is our nature. Mental peace helps us to discover the absolute peace of our being. समझ में आ रहा है ना? Did you hear the whole sentence? And mental peace depends upon mental purification. And mental purification is in the form of avoiding all wrong thinkings. Avoiding ahankara, vanity, krodha, balam, darpam, kamam, krodham, all these, all unnecessary. In fact, there are too many values. You just follow one value, you will be happy. And that is, don't hurt others. Bas. Don't hurt others. Leave everybody alone to live in peace. Don't exercise authority over anybody. Don't exercise control over anybody. जीवो और जीने दो. समझ गए ना? जीवो और जीने दो. The best policy. जीवो और जीने दो. You will become peaceful. You don't require really to perform this and that. You don't have to achieve too many things to be peaceful. Become a non-violent person in your thinking and word and deed. You are peaceful, Ji. Okay, Ji, the next verse. Brahma bhuta prasannatma.
Brahma bhuta prasannatma.
न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम् ब्रह्मभूतः. The jiva is Brahmabhuta. That is, a jiva is only is perception, anadi perception. That I am a form is an anadi perception. But by nature he is of the nature of the unlimited being. Brahma Bhutaha. So when the wave says, I am a wave, it is its perception, but it is being water. It is Jala Bhutaha. It is Jala Bhutaha. But it thinks that it is a wave. It thinks that it is a wave. But it is Jala Bhutaha. In the same manner, I appear to myself as a form. And I come to accept, yes, I am a form. Because I look to be a form to me, I don't question it. I never question appearances. I don't question appearances. And I look upon the very appearances as the reality. And I keep going. Whereas Shastra comes and says, Vaya, your appearance as a form is a mere appearance, that is not your nature. Your nature is your unlimited conscious being. Bapre. You are Brahma Bhutaha. So when a person listens to the teachings given by the Shastram, then he becomes Prasannatma. Recognizing his actuality, a person becomes cheerful. Cheerfulness can never be a product of achievements. And even if you become cheerful, you are only for some time cheerful. Prasannata is the result of understanding the actual prasanna swarupam of oneself. One's conscious identity is prasanna, means it's peaceful. Like when a person is sleeping, no thought is manifest. How does he look? Prasanna is peaceful. Our existence can never be what you call tumultuous. It cannot be tufanic. It's always serene. Our being is serene. Serenity is our nature, and therefore one becomes cheerful. Seeing the cheerful self, seeing the understanding the peaceful self, one becomes peaceful. It's like, it's very, very interesting, Ji. When you see a disturbed person, you also start getting disturbed. You see a crying person, you start crying. When you see a person sitting peaceful and you sit there and you also become peaceful. Halat is contagious. You understand? Halat samajhte hain? Halat is contagious. If somebody's halat is a crying halat, you also start crying. One becomes sad, you become sad. But the self is absolutely peaceful. When you see yourself as the peaceful self, you become peaceful. Yes. Therefore, the only place where there is Shanti is your being. इस वाक्य को पकड़ लीजिए. There is no Shanti in any given thought. There is no Shanti in any given emotion. Thoughts and feelings and emotions don't produce Shanti. Shanti is the nature of all being. Like heat, you can't find anywhere in the world except in fire. Where there is fire, there is heat. Even the heat of the sun is the heat of the fire. That is a fireball. Therefore, Man cannot become happy unless he looks at himself. There is no other way. Then he may get moments of some kicks. When he makes money, he is very cheerful on that day. Cheerfulness means lot of parties, giving all problems to the housewife. She has to organize, and giving hell to the servants. Once, when Christmas comes, the turkeys start shivering. When the Bakrid comes, when all the Bakris become, they start shivering. Similarly, when you have a party at home, your servants also start shivering. Hey Bhagavan, ab kya hoga? Only for some time you are cheerful, but next day you are again the same thing. Therefore, the real anandam comes to you only when you look at yourself correctly. Did you hear this sentence? You look at yourself correctly. You are not one of the details in the creation. Brahma bhutaha prasanna. I am going to give you one more logic, Ji. See if you can follow this logic. If I have to reach some place, I am concerned. Pata nahi kya hoga rasta mein. If I have to create something, I am concerned. Pata nahi kya hoga. In any process, I have a concern. Pata nahi whether I will become successful. I don't know whether I will be successful in creating this thing. I don't know whether I will be successful in modifying this, in creating this, in reaching this, etc. If I have to reach a place, I am very, very frightened. Pata nahi kya hoga rasta. But between me and the Bhagavan, me and the truth, I don't have to cover any distance, I don't have to reach any place. Therefore, there is no concern. In spiritual life, your concerns come to an end. Did you hear the point? Supposing you are feeling sleepy and you lie down, it doesn't create any concern in you. You withdraw from all concerns and go back to yourself. Fall asleep. Only when it comes to looking at oneself, it is only when it comes to going back to oneself, there are no concerns. If we have to reach a point in space, then it creates a concern. We have to go to America, then you are a little scared. So as soon as you board the plane, you recite Triyambakam. Triyambakam hai jamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam. मैं भी किया. अभी गया तो स्वामी जी को देखने के लिए somebody bought a ticket and put me in the plane. Don't go by road. You will be tired. So some bhakta, some good-hearted person, वो भी भगवान की इच्छा है. Because I was really having viral. How could I go on road? By road. I went by my. And as soon as I entered, I recited. And everybody also joined me. Om Triyambakam. Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam. Why? Because there is so much of uncertainty, ji. Like Swamiji used to say, too many are slip between the cup and the lip. Bapre. Many are slip. Hamara Guruji ka famous statement. Many are slip between the cup and the lip. Similarly, if I have to go, therefore, in every undertaking there is a worry. But in understanding the truth, there is no worry. Because it is oneself. It is oneself. I will give you one more example, maybe it will work. Supposing you are asked to come onto the dais. Please sing some music. Will it concern you or not? पता नहीं मैं कैसे गा पाऊंगा. I don't know whether I will be able to sing anything. Stage fear, and your voice trembles. पता नहीं क्या क्या होगा. You may even collapse. But suppose I say, come, you don't have to do anything, sit quiet. उसमें कोई concern है? कोई concern. Truth is quietude. And I have to only own that. I have to only recognize the tranquility of my being. I have to only recognize. Therefore, one becomes cheerful as a student of truth, not otherwise. Only as a student of truth you can be cheerful. As interested in knowing one's being. And the word truth should not mean anything other than one's being. Any imagination about the truth as something this and that, you are gone. Like in order to fall asleep, you don't think of anything, you don't go here and there. In order to fall asleep, you go back to yourself. Because you find Shanti within yourself. You don't try to enter something for that sleep of peace of sleep. We call it sleep, but it is a state of peace. You have to hear this. Please wake up and hear this one sentence. What we universally call sleep, it is not a state of sleep, it is a state of peace. It is a state of peace. It is our nature. And in order to slip into a state of peace, there are no concerns. It's not at a distance. Therefore, in every undertaking there is a sense of uncertainty, but in being a student of truth, the idea of uncertainty, etc. goes. Next Ji, na shochati. As a person starts understanding himself, his grief also comes to an end. Na shochati. His worries come to an end. Na shochati. Na kankshati. His cravings also come to an end. His worries come to an end. His, grief is also, self-knowledge handles your grief. We think of our ancestors and start grieving. Think of our parents and start grieving. But once we know that there is no loss of existence in anybody. Like when a person falls asleep, you don't grieve. Ye to hai ji. When somebody sleeps, your friend goes to sleep, do you grieve? To kya ho gaya bichara? Inka kya ho gaya? Main bulata hu, bolta nahi. Hey, he is sleeping. He is not in the body, so what? For him, does he miss the body? He exists peacefully. Similarly, after death, death and sleep are one and the same place. For a sleeping man doesn't miss the body. A person who has left the body also doesn't miss the body. And another very difficult truth for you is, when a person leaves the body, he doesn't miss you. You miss him, but he doesn't miss you. When your friend leaves you, he doesn't miss you. He is peaceful. When you are peaceful, you don't miss anything. Please understand. That is the definition of Shanti. When you don't miss anything, you are peaceful, and by the same logic, when you are peaceful, you don't miss anything. Therefore, a sleeping man doesn't miss anything. A person who has left the body also doesn't miss. He is in the form of the truth. That label that we give him, Mr. So-and-so, it's all gone for good. The waking labels are dead for eternity. Our waking labels are dead for eternity. That label that he is a businessman, that label that he is a handsome man, that label he is a rich man, that label that he is a musician, all these labels, the truth transcends. In sleep you transcend all your labels. In death also one transcends all the labels, and one doesn't miss those labels also. Therefore that particular individuality is dead forever. And what remains is the truth. And the same truth assumes another individuality, another form. But what continues is the truth. What begins and ends is individuality. Did you hear this? What did I say? What continues is the truth about oneself, whereas what begins and ends is a cluster of labels. Cluster of labels. Cluster of labels. Begins and ends. Therefore, as a student of truth, he doesn't have grievance. Yes, he also goes through the formalities. Yes, he also attends the chautha. He also attends the cremation. He also, he may even look sad or anything, but in his understanding, nobody is non-existent. Every manifest jiva has to become unmanifest. Yes. Every person who wakes up has to fall asleep. Every person who is born has to leave the form. When you assume a shirt, next day you leave the shirt and put on a new one. Similarly, I assume the body and I leave the body, and in order to assume another body. But in this, what is to be understood is, what continues from life to life is not Mr. So-and-so, is the truth. The truth about oneself has continuity. The label about oneself has a beginning and end. All our identity of this waking state is gone for eternity, is gone. If a person dies, all his labels is all gone for eternity. He carries no label. When he transcends this body, he transcends all the labels, stickers on the body. All the stickers. I'm a Rotary Club president. I'm a rich man. I have a business in Connaught Place. All these are all labels. You have a certain image about you. That image is called a label, waking image. That societal image. And when you go to sleep, you transcend that image. And when a person leaves the body for good, he leaves that image also for good. And what remains is only the truth about him. The truth about him is the truth. The truth about a mosquito is the truth. Therefore, what has continuity, eternity is the truth. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata, Bhagavan says. भगवान कृष्ण जी का जो बातें हैं ना, बहुत अच्छे होते हैं जी. He has spoken the Shastram. Therefore, don't always look upon Bhagavan Krishna ji as the one who lifted Govardhan, handled Kansa. That's nothing, ji. That's not a big deal. That doesn't make Bhagavan Bhagavan. What makes Bhagavan is he gave the right teaching to humanity, the spiritual teaching. Ashochati nagangshati. Next ji, samaha sarveshu bhuteshu A person who looks at himself, the more you understand yourself, the more you become equal to everybody. Meaning, the more you look upon everybody without any disparity. Sab ek hi hai. When the wave understands itself as water, the wave also understands other waves to be nothing but water. कितनी अच्छी बात है जी. समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते परम. And such a person, this is the culmination of bhakti. Understanding oneself is the culmination of bhakti. Is not an alternative to bhakti, is the culmination of bhakti. Human beings are more qualified for bhakti. But all that I would like to tell you is, cry out for help from Bhagavan. But understand, and then what you say is, I want to understand myself. Use bhakti for jnanam. Don't use bhakti as an alternative to jnanam. Don't use bhakti as a substitute for jnanam. You will be a big loser. Narada was such a big bhakta, ultimately he had to study Vedanta. वो कहते मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ. कितना अच्छी बात है जी. नारदा comes and says मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ. मुझे तो बड़ा खुशी होती है. क्योंकि इतनी बड़ा आदमी होकर भी कह रहे हैं मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ. Yes. When a big man says मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ, मुझे तो बड़ा खुशी होती है. Why? Because bigness doesn't make you happy. अपना शास्त्र पढ़ो. Anyway, even bhakti is not an end in itself. Bhakti is preparatory for jnana. And another thing, आप लोगों के लिए what is useful is, daily in the morning do नित्य कर्म थोड़ी देर के लिए, आधा घंटा के लिए, 10 मिनट. Repeat Gayatri or any mantra and say, Bhagavan, inspire me, prerana do, inspire me towards inner reflection, inner peace, inner purity, inner jignasa. अपने आप को समझने में प्रेरणा दो. समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते परम. This is called parabhakti. Parabhakti means the culminating point of bhakti is called parabhakti. When the Ganga merges in the Sagar, that is called Ganga Sagar. It is both Ganga and Sagar. It is both. It is para and it is bhakti. It is bhakti and also it is timeless, means it is jnana. The culmination of bhakti is jnanam. But don't please imagine that jnanam culminates in bhakti. No, jnanam doesn't culminate in bhakti. Bhakti culminates in jnanam. But the more of it I will say in the next class. थोड़ा बहुत information चाहिए even to have bhakti. Some information we require to have devotion. But that devotion culminates in understanding Bhagavan correctly. What is parabhakti then? You understand what is parabhakti? The bhakti, when the bhakti culminates in jnanam, that is called parabhakti. When Gangaji merges in the Sagar, it is called Ganga Sagar. The culminating point of Ganga. Ganga meeting Sagar is called Ganga Sagar. Similarly, bhakti meeting the jnanam is called parabhakti. Parabhakti means bhakti that prepares you to understand the truth. The bhakti, the devotion that prepares you to understand the truth is called parabhakti. Supposing the bhakti that only brings you some material results, it is not parabhakti, it is just bhakti. Or should I say bhagiti? What is it called? Bhagiti. Bhagiti. But parabhakti is that which prepares you to know the truth. Labhate paramiti. We'll continue it, ji. Next. मैं भी थक गया हूँ. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Thank you, ji. Thank you. Adieu.